For a few months in 2024, 7 stars in our galaxy looked like they were wrapped in something artificial. Not planets, not dust, something built. Astronomers had combed through 5 million stars hunting for one fingerprint, the heat that would leak from a machine large enough to swallow a sun. And they found 7 that fit. Then someone pointed a radio telescope at one of them, and what was hiding behind that star was stranger than any alien megastructure. This is the story of the Dyson Sphere and the 7 signals that almost convinced us we weren't alone. The idea goes back to 1960. A physicist named Freeman Dyson. He asked a simple, unsettling question. If a civilization keeps growing, eventually one planet can't feed its hunger for power, and a star pours out almost unimaginable energy, nearly all of it wasted, streaming off into empty space. So Dyson imagined the endpoint, a civilization that stops wasting it, that surrounds its own star with a vast swarm of collectors, drinking the starlight almost to the last photon. We call it a Dyson sphere though. Sphere is misleading. A solid shell would tear itself apart. What Dyson really described was a swarm, billions of panels orbiting in a cloud so dense it caged a sun in light. The mark of a civilization so far beyond us, we can barely sketch it. But here's the part that matters. Dyson realized that if such a thing existed, it would betray itself. And that betrayal is exactly what those astronomers went hunting for. 7 times they thought they'd caught it. Keep that number. 7. So how do you find a machine wrapped around a star hundreds of light years away? You can't see it. But Dyson gave us the trick. The panels would absorb their star's light, but energy can't vanish. Whatever the swarm soaks up, it sheds again as heat. Low, invisible heat glowing in the infrared. So the star would look wrong. Dimmer than it should be in visible light, but blazing far too bright in the infrared. Astronomers call that mismatch an infrared excess. And the data to hunt for it already existed. Millions of stars, quietly cataloged by the Gaia, WISE, and 2 mass surveys. Nobody had gone looking for the right ghost. But there was a warning from history. In 2015, a star called Tabby star dimmed by 20% in a pattern no one could explain. For a while, serious scientists said the words alien megastructure out loud. The likely truth? A cloud of dust. Because dust glows in infrared too. The wreckage of forming planets can mimic the exact signature of a Dyson swarm. So how do you tell a civilization from a pile of rubble? In 2024, 2 teams tried. The first was a Swedish project out of Uppsala University, Project Hephaistos, named for the god of the forge. Led by a young researcher, Mattias Suazo, the team built a filter to sift 5 million stars and throw out every ordinary explanation: dust, nebula, instrument, noise, everything. 5 million stars went in. 7 came out. 7 stars whose infrared glow could not be explained away. All small, cool red dwarfs. All within about 1,000 light years neighbors, in cosmic terms. Each glowing with an excess of heat that fit the Dyson Sphere models almost perfectly. And they weren't alone. A second team, in Italy, ran a wider search and pulled back dozens more with the same strange signature. For a moment, it wasn't one anomaly. It was a pattern. The teams were careful. They never claimed aliens. They called them candidates. And one of those 7 was about to get the closest look of all. Infrared heat tells you something is there. It doesn't tell you what. For that, you need a different eye. So in early 2025, a team pointed 2 powerful radio arrays at one of the 7 candidates, the object called simply Candidate G. If G were a red dwarf wrapped in a quiet swarm, the radio sky around it should have been nearly silent. A cool little star doesn't roar in radio. It roared. A blazing radio source sat at that exact position. So violent, its temperature passed 100 million degrees. No red dwarf does that. No Dyson Sphere does that either. Only one explanation fit: a supermassive black hole, feeding at the heart of a distant galaxy. The little red dwarf was real, close to us in the foreground. But almost directly behind it, across a chasm of space, lurked that galaxy. By chance, the 2 lined up in our sky, And the galaxy's glow, not an alien engine, dressed an ordinary star as a megastructure. Candidate G was a ghost, a cosmic coincidence. So, did we imagine the whole thing? Not quite. Some candidates still resist the boring answers. The mystery didn't vanish. It got smaller and sharper. New Gaia data can expose more imposters. James Webb can ask whether the heat is dust, a hidden galaxy, or something we have no word for yet. Dyson never claimed these things exist. He said something quieter, that if a civilization survives long enough, this is what the endpoint might look like. A whole sun put to work. We went looking. We found 7 maybes, and watched most dissolve into coincidence and dust. But every ghost we rule out teaches us how to recognize the real thing if it's ever out there. Somewhere in the data we've already collected, a real one might still be waiting hiding in a column of numbers nobody has looked at closely enough. We just have to learn how to see it. If this rewired how you look up at the night sky, subscribe to Quanta and Cosmos, where we hunt down the strangest questions in the universe, one star at a time.